Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to Made Every Day. Today we're going to sew one of my all-time favorite projects, a pair of basic kid shorts. They're fast, easy, and there are so many options. You're going to love it. Let's get started. My family lives in a hot climate, so I am always sewing shorts for all three of my kids. And the thing I love is that not only is it a quick sew, but from the same concept, I can sew a ton of different styles. This is a basic pair of shorts with elastic going through the entire waistband, or I could put elastic only in the back of the shorts and keep a flat front. I could sew some pockets to it in the front or in the back with a little piping. And one of my favorites is this pair of shorts I made for my son. They're racer shorts, and he loves wearing them. In fact, you can tell he's worn these ones a ton. But today, we're gonna sew a basic pair of shorts. Here's what you need: fabric, 1-inch wide elastic, and a pattern. The pattern I'm using today is one that I've created. It ranges from sizes 12 months all the way up to 10 years old. It's available on my website. Go to madeeveryday.com and click on patterns. There's a front piece and there's a back piece, and we want to cut 2 mirror images of each. So what you want to do is take your fabric, fold it in half like I've already done here. Now you notice a little arrow here that says grain line. That means you want that line to run parallel to the selvage of the fabric. The selvage is this finished off edge that often has some printing codes on it. Place that one there and place the other pattern piece next to it. And then you want to make sure that you really match up the bottom hemline here when you're cutting so that the print of your fabric lines up when you're done sewing. Okay, let's cut it out. I'm using scissors. You could use a rotary cutter. You could trace this and then cut it. I kind of like to just hold my hand right here, press down, and then just cut closely to the edge of the pattern piece. And sometimes what I do, so that they don't shift around, is I'll cut the bottom of that one, move over and cut the bottom of this one, so that if it happens to move while I'm cutting, I know where to line it up. Okay, there we go. We've got our first piece. Now let's cut the back piece. I finished cutting out my pieces, and as you can see, I have 2 back pieces that are mirror images and 2 front pieces that are mirror images. If you forget which one is which, you can tell that the back goes up a little higher to cover your bum in the back, and the front just rides a little bit lower. Now these are a pair of boy shorts that I'm making, and sometimes it can be easy to confuse the top and the bottom of the shorts. So what I'm gonna do is take a little pin and just place it here at the hemline of each piece so that I don't forget. And this might make more sense when we start ironing and sewing. When you're making girl shorts, it's a little more obvious, so you probably don't need a pin. Okay, that's just a little reminder for me. You could also place a mark with a fabric marker, something like that. Okay, now what you wanna do is take the 2 back pieces, put them with the right sides together, take the 2 front pieces with right sides together, and we're gonna sew down both of those crotch seams with a 3/8" seam allowance. Now I'm just threading my machine here. I've already placed thread in my bobbin, and I'm just following along the guides on my machine for threading. The thing I love though about this Baby Lock machine is the automatic needle threader. It's so fantastic. All I do is press this button and it goes right through. Okay, I'm ready to sew. Take the 2 back pieces, place them down, do a little back stitch at the beginning, and then just sew right down that curve. Do a little back stitch at the end, and let's sew the front pieces. Let's press these seams and then we'll sew the inseam. Pressing your seams is really important. It's key to making your stuff look more professional and less homemade. Now it can seem difficult to get around this curved area right here, so what I do is I just kind of pull one side of the fabric and continue pushing my iron as I go. Okay, let's do the front. Now, let's sew the inseam. With right sides of the fabric together, place the front on top of the back, and you can see that the back pieces have a little bit more space on the sides. That's just so that once the shorts go around your bum, the side seam actually hits your leg right in the middle. So what you want to do is match them up right at the crotch seams like this and place a pin right there in the middle. Then just go down the inseam, which is the inside seam of your leg, and pin down. Now, if you were working with a fabric like a stripe or something that has a pattern that really needs to line up, you want to pay special attention to that in this part. You could just start sewing without pins, but I do like to pin this area so that I make sure the hems match up and the crotch. Okay, let's sew it. Now we're going to sew in one continuous seam. We're going to start at the bottom of one leg, sew up to the crotch, and just continue on back down the other leg. I'm using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Do a little back stitch at the beginning. Just sew right down. If you happen to own a serger, you could definitely sew these shorts with a serger instead of a machine. And the nice thing about that is that it finishes off all your edges for you. Now I'm just sewing down the other side. Do a little back stitch. And then I also love this feature on my Baby Lock. I just hit the scissors button and it cuts all my thread for me. Okay, let's press this out. When I press this inseam, you can kind of see why I pinned the bottom of my shorts at the beginning, because it could look a little confusing. It looks like these are 4 of the same pieces. And when we fold it back up, we might not remember which way it goes. So good thing we placed those pins there. Now let's sew the side seams. With right sides of the fabric together, match them up at the side seam and pin them together. Again, if you are working with stripes or something that has a distinct pattern on the fabric, make sure you're really paying careful attention to that everything's lined up. Spin it around and let's do the other side. Okay. Now we just want to sew right down those side seams. I'm using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Do a little back stitch. And sew right down that side seam with a straight stitch. Are you amazed at how fast this is coming together? I told you, these are really fun and easy. Sometimes I'll sew a few pairs at a time, one for each of my kids. Cut your thread. Let's sew the other side. Okay, now let's press those seams and work on the waistband. I've turned my shorts right side out and look, they are really starting to look like shorts. We just need to create a casing at the top for the elastic to go through. So let's press that waistband under about a 1/2 inch all the way around. This will enclose that raw edge. They'll look really nice at the waistband. If you ever want to turn this pattern into pants, it's really easy. You just draw the legs a little bit longer. Now we want to press it over again about another 1.25 inches. We want it to be just wide enough to sew a line and get our elastic through. So press that in place and do that all the way around. Okay, now before we sew, grab your pins and let's mark a start and a stop point so that we leave an opening in our casing so we can get the elastic in and out. What I like to do is use double pins just so that I can remember, oh yeah, I need to stop. And there you go. Now we can sew all the way around from the start to the stop point. Begin sewing at the start point, and I'm sewing about 1/8 inch from that folded edge. Do a little back stitch, and then just sew all the way down. If you ever feel like your foot pedal is just going too fast for you, you can always adjust it with your speed control right here, and then it will only allow you to go so fast. Okay, just keep going all the way around. When you get to those seams, make sure that everything is folded under so that nothing's sticking out and it's all finished off nicely. And now I'm back to the stop point. Okay, we've sewn our casing in place. Now we're gonna string our elastic through. Take out these pins here. Grab your piece of elastic. My piece is about 1 inch longer than what my son's waist is. I'm taking a safety pin, attach it to the end of your elastic, just like that. And then you want to go into the casing at the opening and push the elastic all the way through. Just push it and then shimmy the fabric down and then push it through a little more until it comes back out the other side. My elastic made it to the other end. Here it comes. Okay, you've got your two ends here. Make sure that nothing is twisted inside. Take off your safety pin. We're gonna overlap these two by about an inch and sew them in place with a zigzag stitch. Okay, pull your elastic back inside the shorts, shimmy everything around, and then let's sew this casing closed. Make sure you're not sewing over the elastic. Just kind of pull it straight right there. Okay, all we have to do is hem our shorts. We are so close. Now the hem can be whatever you want. You can make a really chunky hem, you can make a short hem. What I like to do for boy shorts is to iron this under about a ½ inch, all the way around. And then I iron it under about another 3/4 to 1 inch. And when I'm making these as pants, sometimes I make them extra long, give it a really chunky hem, and then as my child grows, I can just let out that hem and they can wear them twice as long. Because my kids, they seem to just grow up and not out. And then how I do this is I just kind of take both hands and tuck it all under like that. Place it on top of each other, make sure it looks pretty even. And then press that in place. Okay, once I have the first leg where I want it, then let's work on the second leg. Okay, press that down. And then what I like to do is hold them up and just look with my eye and see how it looks. That left side looks a little long. Let's fix that. I'm gonna tuck it under a little bit more. What do you guys think? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's sew them in place. Place the first leg under your machine. Sew about 1/8 of an inch from that folded edge with a straight stitch. Do a little back stitch at the beginning and just go all the way around. Now if you wanted to get really fancy, you could use a different thread color to make that kind of pop a little bit. And sometimes I even like to sew a double line next to my first line just to make it look kind of fun. Okay, we're done with the first leg. Let's sew the other one. Okay, we are done. Let's see how it looks. And there you go. We just sewed a pair of shorts. That is really cool. Now what I like to do is to sew a little label on the back because my kids are always asking me, Mom, which way's the front? Which way's the back? Which way's the front? Now they know. For more ideas and tutorials, visit my website, madeeveryday.com. And for more information on sewing machines, go to babylock.com, where it's all for the love of sewing. I'll see you next time.